Good morning, everybody. My name is Matthew Fleming, and I am one of the partner development team at eOne Solutions. Um, I'd like to thank the guys at Nolan Business Solutions today for inviting me along to run this webinar for you. And today we're going to be talking about the future of SmartList Builder. I imagine a number of the guys on the call are Microsoft Dynamics GP users and familiar with smart lists and possibly SmartList Builder. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what our plans are for SmartList Builder, how we're going to take it forward, and how we'd like to take you on that journey with us, if you like. Introduce myself already. I've been working in the Microsoft Dynamics space for 25 years, 24 years. So I'm familiar with Dynamics GP, I'm familiar with D365 Business Central, I'm familiar with what they used to call CRM, which is now customer engagement, and the Power Platform. And I've been selling the eOne products all that time. I've got to know them, I've got to know the company, and I've got to know the technology. I know I'm slightly biased now, but I always used to sell the products because they were very good at what they did. Quaint old English term, they did exactly what they said on the tin. I am located in the UK, so feel free to get in touch with myself or get in touch with the guys at Nolan, and they can reach me at any time. But eOne is an international organisation, and I thought it would be worthwhile just taking 5 minutes to introduce ourselves. eOne was founded in 2001. Unlike a lot of ISVs, it kind of sprung out of the necessity for products which Dynamics GP wasn't quite delivering. So SmartList was good. We created SmartList Builder. It was better, which was a reporting solution. We had a product called Smart Connect, which is an integration product. And what we did is we deployed Smart Connect to allow you to integrate with other solutions from within Dynamics GP, be that websites, be that CRM solutions, be that warehouse management. And what we tried to do in terms of the likes of Smart Connect was make that integration very easy to do, very straightforward, as automated as possible, so it was quick and easy. And we started to deliver those solutions, as I say, in 2001. At the risk of jumping on the side a bit, today we've got in the region of 20,000 customers globally. We did originally focus on Dynamics GP and CRM, but as time's gone by, we've realized that integration is much more than just the Dynamics suite. So there's other ERP solutions out there now, like NetSuite. There's other CRM solutions like Salesforce, and obviously the web is becoming a much more important presence for selling and for communication. So you've got products out there like Shopify and Magento, and we plug into those products as well. So a much broader remit in terms of the products that we integrate to. We're headquartered in Fargo, North Dakota, but we also have offices in Austin, Texas, Sydney, Australia. Our European head office is Copenhagen. We've got an actual physical location, and our support team for Europe is based out of there. And we do have a Cambridge office, which is basically my spare room. And my boss is a lady called Linda Johnson, who you may have heard of before. Linda's based in The Hague, so a good coverage in terms of Europe. In terms of data centers, a lot of what we sell these days is online, and we're always very conscious that we've got to be able to tick the localization boxes. So we've got a data center in the UK, we've got a data center in Western Europe, we've also got data centers in USA and Canada as well. So we can tick any sort of GDPR boxes or any localization issues if you're using the web. Okay, so that's eOne Solutions. We're going to talk a bit about the future of SmartList Builder, but in order to talk about the future, we kind of have to talk a little bit about the past. So the first thing to reassure you, SmartList Builder is not going away. So if you've got Microsoft Dynamics GP today and you're very happy with it, it's doing a great job for you, and you don't want to get rid of it and you want to carry on using SmartList Builder, you can. That's not an issue. But what SmartList Builder is doing is it's evolving. And I'll talk a little bit about how that evolution has happened and what our plans are for the product going forward. So as I say, in order to talk about the future, one eye on the past. So if there's any GP users on the call today, which I'm sure there are, love smart lists. It's easy to use. I can go into it. I can create something quickly. I don't need to get IT involved. I don't need to produce complex reports. SmartList presents information to me and says, you can manipulate that data now. You can add filters. You can sort. You can set ranges. So it's incredibly popular, and it's incredibly popular with lots of GP users. The only problem is with SmartList, or one of the problems is it was only available in Stoke on GP. So if you were sitting outside GP, you couldn't view the data. You had to have a GP login, which is expensive. And also there were some functional limitations. So what eOne did was we actually created a product called SmartList Builder, which with all of these features embellished SmartLists. And you could add it to your GP installation. And we also created a product called SmartView. And all of a sudden, what you could do with SmartView is you could publish those SmartList reports externally. So you could actually view these reports of GP data without actually having to have your GP license, which was a terrific step forward. But once again, we were only looking at GP data. So there was that limitation. Yeah, it was great. I've got a task. I can go in and create a report really quickly, and I can publish a report and share it, but it's only going to be GP data. And these days, with more integrated solutions, you really need to be able to look across systems, not just into systems. So we talked about the future of SmartList Builder. The future is effectively Popdock. We're not getting rid of SmartList. Definitely not. It's not SmartList Builder. We're not getting to SmartView. That's not the case. But what we have done is we've created Popdock, which in terms of functionality is similar to SmartList Builder, but sort of SmartList Builder on steroids. So it's a web-based application. So it sits on the web and can actually look at data rather than sitting within GP. So it can look at data from multiple platforms. So we deliver a number of connectors out of the box. Some of the connectors you can create. Some of them provide lists of information in a similar way to SmartList Builder does for GP. So if I go into D365 Sales, the CRM solution, Popdock will actually present me with reports and say that here's some listing information that you can start using to generate reports. And that's the same for Salesforce, and that's the same for NetSuite. So all of a sudden, Popdock takes you away not just from having to be within GP to report, so you can report from outside GP through this web app, but you can also then start to report across different applications. And we currently have 50 plus Popdock applications that we can plug into and provide you with pre-built reports on. All the data is live, so it's not going into any sort of repository or cube or anything like that. It's coming straight out of these applications, so it's live. But the integration is virtual. And what we mean by that is we're not actually moving any of the data. We're simply looking into the solution, whatever that solution is, pulling that data out to present it through Popdock to you, which is terrific. And there's a number of reasons why that's terrific, and I'll elaborate on them in a second. One of the first things we can do is we can look across systems. So we can actually look at Microsoft Dynamics GP data, we can look at CRM data, and then we can produce within Popdock what we call a merge list. So we are actually going to combine data from multiple data sources and present that in one report. You can also do what we call embed widgets. So you can create a Popdock report, which could be a merge list, and it could be looking at information within Dynamics GP or within your finance system. But you could then present that information through this widget, through this embedded report into D365 Sales, Customer Engagement, CRM. So all of a sudden, I as a salesman, without having to leave CRM, can actually look at my billings for my customers from within the ERP solution, which is incredibly powerful. And the other thing we can do within Popdock is we can actually create some what we call actionable insights. So we're not just looking at the data, we're not just merging the data, we're not just sharing the data across different applications. We can actually give you, the user, the opportunity to update some of the data in a very basic manner. And that is totally under control. It's under the control of you or the guys who configure your solution. So a good example of that is on Zendesk, which is a support desk tool. So when I'm logging problems with my applications, I can log into Zendesk and I can put a report in there that says, I've got a problem. I can actually view that information as a salesman from within CRM using Popdock, because we can embed a widget within CRM, and we can look at that later as well. But what I can actually do through an actionable insight is I can go onto Zendesk and I can say, actually, I want to change the priority of that call, or perhaps I want to change who that call is assigned to. So that is the power, if you like, of actionable insights. So in summary, what does Popdock deliver? Really easy end-to-end reporting. Once again, it's very simple to SmartList Builder. It presents you with lists. You can select from those lists. You can then manipulate that data as you see fit. It is genuinely a digital transformation tool. So if you imagine you're on Microsoft Dynamics GP and you want to move to Business Central, all of a sudden you don't have to move. You don't have to physically take all of your historical transactions into Business Central, because using Popdock, we can look back and we can view that data without having to transfer it. And if it was, say, sales transaction information, we could go into Popdock, produce a merge list, which is looking at the Business Central data, Business Central sales transactions for this year, say, but we can also then look at list of information from GP for the previous years. We can then bring that in to a widget within Business Central, and we can present that information within Business Central, but it's combining information from maybe the last 6 years of GP and the current year of Business Central. It's also very easy to use, low code, no code platform, keeps the costs down. It also means that if your IT guy who writes all your reports decides to leave, it doesn't matter, because Popdock is configurable. You're not writing vast amounts of code to actually support it. So we talked about digital transformation and it being a journey. So Popdock, yep, it's a web application. Yes, it's accessing live data. Yes, we can create smart lists, and we'll look at that in a second as well when we have a look at the demo. But what you can effectively do with Popdock is you can plug it into like Dynamics GP. You can also bring in smart list information to Popdock and publish that. So if you've got existing smart lists, you can import those. You can push that data, be that to D365, Business Central, Customer Engagement, Field Service, NetSuite, the Dynamics suite we've talked about previously. Where that data comes from as well is also interesting. We can put the Dynamics GP data, if you were looking to migrate away from GP, onto maybe a SQL data warehouse in Azure. So your GP data is then on the cloud, or, which is an even cheaper option, you could move it to an Azure data lake, which is incredibly cheap storage on the cloud. But I've alluded to here as well, yes, we can plug into the Dynamics suite, but there's lots of other applications as well that we can plug into. I hope you recognize some of them in terms of HubSpot, NetSuite, Zendesk, all applications that Popdock can share data with, can merge data from, and can then embed data widgets with. And we'll look at them again in a second. So Popdock doesn't just become a reporting tool. Popdock becomes what we like to call iPaaS, your integration platform as a service, because it can pretty much plug into anything you need it to. I can share that data, it can publish that data, and it can embed that data. So incredibly powerful. And as I say, this is why we describe it as an evolution, if you like, of SmartList Builder. Okay, let me show you the product, and we'll go from there. Okay, obviously been talking for too long as the connection's gone to sleep. So if we start off in Popdock, as I say, Popdock is a web app. So you can give this web application to as many people as you want, and you can then tailor the security to reflect what you want them to see. So everybody has to log in. And once you've logged in, the first place that Popdock brings you to is your homepage. On your homepage, you can embed reports. So if there's half a dozen reports that you use every day, you can put those on. There's news on here, which we've embedded. And it really is a sort of place, it's a starting point, if you like, for Popdock. So I can see here, this is an age debt report, which I might want to come into every day. This is my outstanding customer quotes by client. While we're here, we can have a look at the connectors. So these are all the connectors that are available, not all of them actually. This is some of the connectors that are available via Popdock to plug you and Popdock into other solutions. So if you go into connectors and have a look at those, I mentioned the data lake. Once again, a nice, cheap way of storing data on the cloud. But if you scroll down, we've got Business Central, D365 Finance Operations, which is one of our most recent connectors. So used to be called Exapter. But yeah, D365 F&O is now available as a connector. D365 Sales for CRM. And if you scroll down, there's Magento, MySQL. So it doesn't have to be an application. It can just be a data store. Salesforce. So you've got those connectors actually available to you, which you can select, you can use, and you'll see those again in a second. In terms of developer, I don't intend to go into the development section because it gets pretty complicated pretty quickly from a simplistic perspective like me. But here's where you can create widgets. So this is where you can create the reports that you can then subsequently embed within other applications. So I mentioned earlier the fact that we had D365 customer engagement, where I as a sales guy could look at the ERP invoicing for my client. This is where we'd build those widgets in here. So if you go back to our homepage, across the top there, I've got my favorites, and I'll look at each of those in turn in a second just to sort of highlight some of the features. But if I want to add a new tab, so these are tabs across the top, add a new tab. The first thing the system says to me is, okay, how do you want to find that tab? So I can tag reports. So I could say I want my, in fact, I think I've got some tags already set up in there. I've got some tags in here set up by company, and I've got some tags in here set up by process. So this is my month end data report. And what the system will do then is it will bring back all the reports I've tagged as month end. But I don't want to do that right now. What I wanted to do is I want to find a connector or find a report by connector. So now I'm saying what connector do I want to use? And I want to use Microsoft Dynamics GP. Which company? And one of the great things about one of the great things about Popdock is it is multi-company. So if you want to report on one company, or if you want to report on many companies, you can do that from within Popdock. I know on this system, for instance, though, we haven't got much data other than what is in Fabricam. So I'll be using Fabricam for much of today. Group is the type of report or area within finance you want to look at. Now I'm going to go to one of these specifically because it's relevant to what we're talking about today, and that's SmartList Builder. So what we're actually doing in Popdock is we're looking at a SmartList Builder report from within GP. There's only one, I'm sorry to say, but I can now say I want to add that to my tabs. So this is Skippy. Skippy is someone you'll become familiar with. He's gone away, he's looking at GP now, and he's pulling in that sales history information for this particular GP database. So that is a SmartList Builder report running in Popdock. There's a few things we can do in here. From a data perspective, we can add data. So if you want to pick another column or want to pick multiple columns, I might want to pick country, and I can add that selected column to the report. Skippy goes away and pulls the data back for me again. I can group information, so I can grab my salesperson ID, pop that up there, and that gives me a summary by salesperson then. I can delete columns just by simply going in and unclicking the column I don't want to see. We've got totaling by column and different methods of totaling, he says. There you go. So you can take an average for these values, you can count the values, maximum, minimum, or you can sum them. You can move them around. So I can move period up to here. I can scroll across if I want to, across the report so that I can see all the detail that I need. I can also go up here, and this is a breadcrumb trail, if you like. So what I can do is I can look at where I've come from and how I've built this report. So if I go back to home now, in fact, what I want to do is add a new tab. So once again, I'm going to go into connectors, and I'm going to look at GP. Back to Fabricam again, but this time I'm going to look at sales information. And we're going to look at sales transactions. Just easy for me to manipulate. I'm not sure if I've got any favorites in there, but if I have, I can use a favorite, which will pull that back the last formatted report that I had. So there's Skippy going away, pulling the sales transactions. As you can see, we've got Aaron Fitz in here, a personal favorite of mine. Lots of information in there about Aaron on the customer database. We talked about grouping, we've talked about adding columns, we've talked about we can sort data and how we can total data. What we can also do is we can filter data. So what I can actually say here is I want to add some filters to Popdock. And because we're familiar with the data and the structure that's likely to be in these fields, what we can do is we can auto generate content for you. So I know that the subtypes are never going to be anything other than these values here. So we say, okay, we want subtype of invoice. I can save that, and then Skippy goes away and runs it again. So now I've got subtype of invoice. I want to only see Aaron Fitz. So I can say customer name equals, actually we just put starts with Aaron. Save that report now. So now I've only got Aaron Fitz Electrical in here. And then maybe what I want to do is put a filter in, and I appreciate the dates are a little bit odd. Document date. And another nice feature here is we can put ranges in. So rather than equals a specific date, what Popdock allows you to do is compare fields. So when we select compare, we can say today, yesterday, tomorrow, this week, last week, next week. And the beauty of that is I can build a report now, which I can run. So if this was like a commission report, we could run the commission for last month. Not sure if we've got any data in there for that, but no. So I will pop back into filters, delete that one. You can also have ands and ors on filters as well, just so that you're aware. And you can, I think you can have as many filters as you wish. So you could build up quite a comprehensive inquiry. Let's skip here run again. So there's our sales transactions. And if I just grab the customer ID up there, we should only have the information for Aaron Fitz, which is what we've got. expand that if I want to, and I can see the information that I need about Aaron Fitz and his invoicing history. So really easy to use, very quick to build something. As I say, you can add to favorites if you wish. You can share with people, you can give it a name, and this is where you can give it a tag, which we talked about previously. And you can export information, excuse me, you can export information to Excel. What you can also do with Popdock though, and it's not pretending to be a graphical tool, but what you can do with Popdock is you can actually put lists into information as well. And then once you've got the list, you can then switch it to a chart. So this is where you can start to build analysis. You can start to see percentages, which are probably more meaningful than just a list of data. And you'll recognize this report because this report is embedded on my homepage as Fabricam's age debt report. Really easy to use, very quick to create, very quick to share. Everything that you'd expect to see from something that has come out of a product like SmartList Builder. A couple of the other examples I've got on here though, which I think are really interesting, is so here I've got a report which is D365 Business Central. So I'm actually still within Popdock. I can actually go to D365 Business Central and run that report. So this data that Popdock is now presenting to me is data from within Business Central. And I can still use the same filters, still use the same logic within Popdock to tailor this report to what I want. I can add columns, I can sort as I see fit. I also mentioned though, so we're looking at a different application here completely and presenting the data. But one of the things I also touched on was the fact that we can create merge lists. So one of the examples I've actually got here is GP and Business Central. So this is actually pulling data from two locations. It's pulling data out of the Dynamics GP database, but it's also pulling data out of BC database, Business Central. So what we've got here is the connector, what we're connected to. So these are BC records. I'm not sure how many they are coming out of this company, this unit price and the sales lines. So if I now actually reverse that order, what you can now see is I've actually got data in here as well from Dynamics GP. So it's pulling data in from Business Central and Dynamics GP and merging that data within the Popdock web app. So that's a whistle stop tour, if you like, of the web application. A couple of other examples I'd just like to have a look at if we can. So this should be familiar to yourselves, or maybe familiar to yourselves. This is actually Business Central. And what you can see up here on the top ribbon is Popdock. Popdock is there for you to be able to run reports along the same lines of the web application we just looked at, where you can actually go into Popdock and you can run those reports for Business Central or using a connector across other solutions as well. The lovely thing about this product now is if you are thinking of moving to Business Central, then you can use Popdock effectively as smart lists for Business Central. There are some basic smart lists in Business Central, but Popdock really is a much more smart list type solution for the Business Central application. A couple of other examples. If I go into the custom files and I do a search on the customer, and I'll look up our good friend Aaron again. So there's Aaron Fitz Electrical, who we were looking at in Popdock previously. We're now actually within Business Central, but I can see Aaron Fitz is there. So I can pop onto Aaron's record within Business Central. I'm not actually leaving the Business Central application. And if I scroll down, then what we have here is our good friend Skippy again. So this is an example of an embedded widget where we've actually taken a Popdock report and we've embedded it within the BC screen. And I know that this information in here is information that's coming from two locations. It's coming from in Business Central, but it's also coming from within Microsoft Dynamics GP as well. So that's a merge list embedded within Business Central, which is pretty powerful, especially if you're thinking about, I now need to move my data at some point in the future. As part of a migration exercise or part of an upgrade, you don't have to do that anymore. You can do that all from within Business Central, from within Popdock. Last thing I was just going to show is once again on accounts. It's our good friend Aaron Fitz. Let's see if I can find him. There he is. So this is our custom record in Dynamics 365 CRM now, or sales. And what you can see here is we've actually got another embedded widget, which is Aaron Fitz Electrical, which is invoicing information, which is actually coming out of Business Central. And we could have looked up that invoice if you wanted to in Business Central previously. But what we've also got across the top there is, once again, you've got Popdock. So you can go into Popdock and build your reports if you wish. But we've got a couple of other solutions in here. What I'm going to go into is Zendesk, which is once again sitting outside D365 CRM, but it's pulling in support tickets from these different applications. This could be HubSpot, could be web orders. And what I can do is, if I go into the priority and I right click on priority, I can open a ticket, I can change the agent. So I want to change that agent in there. I go into there, click change agent. And if I wanted to now, I could change the agent on the Zendesk ticket from within customer engagement stroke CRM. So that's really powerful. Obviously you need to control that. You need to make sure the right people got the right authority to do that. But that's sitting in CRM, looking at Zendesk tickets and making minor changes. The other thing that this screen shows admirably is multiple locations. So yes, we've got Popdock, we've got ERP, which is Business Central, we've got Zendesk, we've got their own web ordering site, and we've got HubSpot. And that data is all coming in using Popdock. So that was a 10-15 minute demo of Popdock, showing some of the features and some of the functionality that are available. It is a web app. It is the logical progression, if you like, from SmartList Builder and SmartView, especially if you're looking at moving on to other applications, because of that additional functionality, that additional connectivity through those multiple connections. And the last screen we were in there on CRM showed that beautifully with Zendesk, HubSpot, and with the ERP orders. So we can report, we can merge, and we can embed data all within Popdock. If you want to just carry on using Popdock over GP, you can. What we do have, though, is we have a promotion today, which ends 1st of December, which I know is fairly tight. But the Popdock pricing, typically we tend to recommend the business edition of Popdock because Popdock includes full support and email on that version. It also includes up to 20 users, and typically it includes 10,000 queries. And a query is effectively what you saw Skippy doing. When Skippy was jumping the rope, that's a query. So unlimited number of widgets, training, custom lists, all out of the business edition. What we're doing with the promotion, which once again, as you may have noticed, ends 1st of December, is we're actually rolling Popdock in with SmartList Builder, with SmartView. So if in future you wanted to buy one of those products, you would have to buy Popdock. We're rolling in support for those products. And we're also rolling in a Popdock Bootcamp Pass, which is a training pass, which is worth about £780 for the year. and we're willing to give all of those free, gratis, for nothing. And we're also rolling in a discount on the list price of the business edition of Popdock. So instead of £159 per calendar month, it's £95.40 per calendar month for the next 3 years, which I think is an incredible offer. So over the course of the 12 months, you're looking at just under £1,200 to have all that additional functionality, all that additional ability to connect to other solutions, to share data, to produce reports through our web application. So lots more functionality, defined discounted cost for 3 years. You don't have, we've rolled these products together, so you don't have to transition all in one go. You can transition at your own pace. So if you want to carry on using SmartList Builder today, that's great. And then if you have a requirement for Popdock tomorrow, maybe it's you're staying with GP, but you perhaps want to report on another application. Perhaps you've got CRM in there as well. You can do that with Popdock and SmartList Builder. But it is a transition. As I said earlier, digital transformation isn't a 5-minute exercise. It's an evolution. But the guys at Nolan's are aware of all of this. The guys at Nolan's have got all this information. So if you want to talk to them about it in a bit more detail, please feel free. But as I say, the promotion ends 1st of December. And that's me. You've listened to me rabbit on for about 40 minutes. I hope that was of interest. I hope that's whet your appetite for SmartList Builder and Popdock. If you do need to get in touch with us, feel free to talk to the guys at Nolan, and they will be able to organise either a subsequent demonstration or some additional pricing information. Once again, thanks to the guys at Nolan for their support. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you on a future webinar. Thank you. Bye-bye.